Why don't we start with the Cowboys? I want to start the show by saying that there was a rather suspicious and unfamiliar silence emanating from Dallas. That was yesterday. But it's always jarring, right? Because if Jerry Jones is not bumping his geriatric gums and pointing those beady eyes at the nearest TV camera, then you know something is up. It's really unusual. You don't see that very often. And then last night, Jera broke that silence. Well, technically, he did not break that silence. He announced what he had to announce through a written statement. But with a written statement, he said the following, in part, quote, "I believe this team is very close and capable of achieving our ultimate goals, and the best step forward for us will be with Mike McCarthy as our head coach." End of quote. Good one, Jera. Man, you slay me, Pops. Good one, Jera. Even Les thought that was funny. Even that creepy dude thought that was funny. Even Billy Koch thought that was funny. Everybody thought that was funny.
Laugh out loud.
That guy thought it was funny. Good one, Jera. Don't do that one again. Hey, Jera. Feel free, Jera, to never ever learn. Signed the rest of the NFC East. Signed the rest of the NFL. Signed every single person who loves watching the Cowboys fail. War making the same mistakes over and over and over and over again, yet expecting different results. Am I right, Jera? It's really not that surprising that Big Mike is coming back. I mean, at all. That's kind of the problem, right? It's the same crap over and over, over and over, and over again. It's just more of Jera's delusional nonsense. No matter how many times Jera tries to convince himself and everybody else that his Cowboys are, quote, very close, end quote, to achieving their, quote, ultimate goals, end quote, it won't make it true. No matter how many times you tell yourself that, Jera, it will not make it true because it's not true. And that's the entire point. That is the entire problem. If everybody thought the Cowboys were, quote, very close, then Big Mike's job status would not have been the biggest question in sports this week. If the Cowboys were actually, quote, very close, they would not have just gotten curb stomped in their own house by the youngest team in the NFL. Hey, Jera, I thought that was one of your, quote, most surprises when that happened. If the Cowboys were, quote, very close to winning a Super Bowl this year, they would have actually gotten very close to winning the Super Bowl this year. Instead, you like that one, Albie? Instead of crashing out in the most humiliating fashion at home on a wild card weekend. In fact, if the Cowboys were, quote, very close to winning a Super Bowl at any point in the last 29 years, then they would have played in an NFC championship at some point over the last 29 years. But they haven't even done that. And they are no closer right now to those, quote, ultimate goals than they were a year ago. In fact, they're further away from those ultimate goals because last year they at least won a playoff game. So Mike McCarthy is not very close, and he's not even moving in the right direction. And here's the thing, Jared tries to make the argument with the following, like, we won 12 games. We won the division. Who gives a damn about a 12-win regular season? Who gives a damn about Dak playing better in the regular season? It's hard to get hyped about any of that considering both took another giant dump in their pants yet again when it mattered most in the postseason. Now, I'm not even trying to put it all on Dak. Just the opposite. Everybody was terrible. That allegedly vaunted and allegedly elite defense was horrendous. Nobody looked ready to play. Nobody looked up for that game. And that's probably why they found themselves down 27-0 in the second quarter, We all saw it, which is why we were all wondering if it was going to cost the big fella his job. Well, we all saw it, except apparently for Jera, the only one who matters. Jera, on the other hand, is busy touting Mike's regular season wins. Check out this statement from yesterday. Quote, Mike has the highest regular season winning percentage of any head coach in Cowboys history. And we will dedicate ourselves in partnership with him to translating that into reaching our postseason goals. Wow, Jera, really? He has the highest regular season winning percentage. My dude, why don't you hang a banner for that? Why don't you throw yourself a parade for that? Why don't you declare yourselves Super Bowl champs for that, Jera? Why not have a Lombardi replica trophy made for that? No, in fact, get a real trophy. Why even play next season? What's the point? You already have the winningest regular season coach in Cowboy history. What else is there to play for? What matters? You just said it. What matters? I'll tell you something else. You know what you did? You totally wasted your time finally putting Jimma in the Ring of Honor. Since Jimma does not have the highest regular season winning percentage of any coach in Cowboys history. No, all Jimma has is 2 Lombardis, and he set the next guy up for a 3rd. But who cares about any of that? Clearly, Jera should have passed over Jimma one more time in order to fast-track Big Mike into the Ring of Honor, because obviously Jera thinks that Big Mike is more deserving. Let's just totally gloss over the fact that as soon as it crosses over into the postseason, Big Mike's teams crumble and gag and choke and die. And this latest disaster was so catastrophic that it really should have clued the old man in finally. See, that's where I come out on this. No, this is nothing new. It happens all the time, except it was different this time. This time it was different, or it should have been different. It was that embarrassing. It was that catastrophic. They were that unprepared. They were that outclassed. They were that undisciplined. This time it should have been different because it was different, because it was the worst collapse that's ever happened. And yet, despite all that, nothing changed for Jera. Jera still wants to talk about the regular season wins and sell us on this idea that we're very close, even though we can all see that you're not close at all. You're actually very far, and you're moving in the wrong direction. But like I said at the very top, no surprise. No surprise. Jera, gonna Jera. And old people just don't like change. I'm not here to crack on old people. Mike Lombardi made that point yesterday on our podcast. He said it. He's like, look, people who are older don't want to change. And he applied that to Jera. I asked him what he thought Jera was going to do, and he kind of answered it like that. Like, hey, listen. And then he did also make a lot of points that Jera made. In fact, it's almost eerie. Mike Lombardi on my podcast before the decision came down said almost the exact same things that Jera ultimately said. Like, you know what? They did win 12 games, and Dak did have his best year, and he did so when they changed play callers, and on and on and on and on, point by point. But my point is, Mike Lombardi made the point, old people generally do not like to change.
I think people are misreading this completely. Everybody thinks Jerry was going to make a change because he's 83 years old, okay? Look, I'm old, and so I know change is hard. Older people don't want to change. You think he really wants to go through a whole new coaching search, go through a whole new coaching staff? I don't think so. I think what he'd rather do is manage what he has. I think what he'd rather do is handle what he has. I think he'd rather make changes internally, but not wholesale changes. Now, I could be wrong, but when you're his age, change is hard. You tend to eat the same thing every day. You tend to have the same habits every day. You know what you want. You're older, and you do what you want to do. And I think that's kind of where I see this thing.
The thing about that is...
You all right?
Yep. We'll see.
Yeah, that's the old guy. Now, Mike Lombardi did not say that in response to the announcement. Mike Lombardi came on my podcast, and he said that prior to it. He said that before Jerry did what Jerry did, and then Jerry did what Jerry did, and said almost exactly what Mike was saying. Old people don't want to change. And I'll tell you something else. They don't want to admit they're wrong. And we all know Jarrah likes things done a certain way. His way. He likes hogging all the attention, hogging all the credit. He's not comfortable being uncomfortable. Remember that whole thing about Jarrah? Jarrah as that ultimate risk taker? Man, that was so long ago. That was decades ago. He's not that guy anymore. He's the old guy that doesn't want to change. He's the old guy who's comfortable running the same act over and over and over again. There's a good reason why that act never ends in a Super Bowl victory. You know what it comes down to? That Packers game? It could not have gone any worse, and it still didn't matter. Clearly, even though Jarrah said prior to that, we're going game to game, that was a lie. Jarrah was not going to fire Big Mike no matter what happened in that game or in these playoffs because they couldn't have gone any worse. And here sits Big Mike with his job. Big Mike fits the way Jarrah wants to do things. And that's the most important thing in Big D. Don't forget it. Winning a Super Bowl would be nice. I'm not saying that he doesn't care. I'm not saying that he doesn't want one. But you know what's nicer than winning a ring? Jarrah doing it his way. That'll always be the top priority. Nice. Although I'll also say this. Jarrah's other top priority, the other thing he values more than actually winning a Super Bowl, attention, eyeballs, chatter, buzz, good or bad. He doesn't care. He just wants people, especially his own fans, fired up. Fired up over him, fired up over his team. And that's the thing. That's the thing. I don't think Cowboy fan is. Cowboy fan, you tell me I'm wrong. I want to hear from you today, now that this is official. Because Cowboy fan, to me, Cowboy fan apathy feels like it's at an all-time high right now. Cowboy fan feels like they've totally checked out, like they're beaten down, or totally defeated, or both. Cowboy fan apathy is supposed to be Jarrah's worst nightmare. I'll give you an example. I'm not hearing from Cowboy fan. Not after that beatdown. Not when the speculation started that they might want a new head coach. No Cowboy fan was coming up in here and saying, hey, Rome, we got to have Belichick. We have to have Harbaugh. Hell, we got to have Mike Vrabel. We got to have anybody. I wasn't hearing any of that. By comparison, Steeler fan, on the other hand, cannot wait to run up in here. Steeler fan cannot wait to run up in here and tell me I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Steeler fan can't wait to run up in here and tell me what a disgrace and fraud and how smug Mike Tomlin is. Steeler fan's not down. Steeler fan's not apathetic. Steeler fan hasn't checked out. Steeler fan is raging harder than they ever have. They're ready to let the hands go with anybody who even suggests that Tomlin knows what he's doing. The Yinzers, man, they might be pissed as hell. But I'll tell you what they're not. They're not apathetic. Jarrah, your fans don't even seem to care. Because your fans seem to finally be figuring out your BS. Like they know it's coming. Cowboy fan sees that when push comes to shove, getting humiliated in the postseason is actually totally acceptable. It's okay. As long as Jarrah can keep doing things Jarrah's way. In other words, it has never been more obvious to Cowboy fan and everybody else that all that lip service and all that geriatric gum flapping about a Super Bowl is just that. Lip service and geriatric gum flapping.
Done.
He didn't want to start over. He didn't want to change the way he does things. He's old. Old people don't like change. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the bell to be the first to know when we do upload a new video.